What happens when an alien assassin sent to destroy Earth meets a human who refuses to back down? You won't believe how one act of defiance changes the fate of two worlds and leaves her questioning everything she's ever known. Her ship descended through Earth's atmosphere like a shard of lightning ripping apart the sky. Kalara's heart thundered as she watched the blue orb grow larger in the viewport. Her people, the Varith, had waited centuries for this moment. Earth was nothing more than a target, a primitive world teeming with chaos and destruction. To her kind, it was unworthy of existence. But something inside her stirred uneasily as they approached. A voice whispered faintly at the edges of her mind, though she couldn't place its origin or meaning. The mission was clear: infiltrate, assess, and prepare for annihilation. Kalara had been chosen because of her reputation for ruthlessness. She didn't question orders. Obedience ran deeper than loyalty among the Varith. Yet when she stepped onto the soil of Earth for the first time, something shifted. The air smelled alive. It carried scents of pine, rain-soaked earth, and smoke from distant fires. For a species that lived in sterile environments aboard ships, this raw vitality felt foreign yet strangely intoxicating. She moved silently through the forest where she'd landed, cloaked by her stealth tech. Every sound, the rustle of leaves, the chirping of birds, felt overwhelming. Back home, silence ruled supreme. Here, life sang in every corner. As she scanned the area, her sensors picked up movement nearby. Instinctively, she reached for her weapon, only to freeze when she saw him. He wasn't supposed to be there. Humans weren't meant to stumble upon her so soon. But here he stood, a man clad in worn clothing, his hands raised halfway in surrender. His eyes, sharp and calculating, locked onto hers despite her invisibility shield failing momentarily. "I know you're there," he said, his voice steady. "And I'm not afraid. We only just began this story, but trust me, it's about to get much more intense. Stay tuned to see how their encounter unfolds and what happens when defiance meets determination." Kalara hesitated. This human dared to confront her? He should have run, screamed, or dropped to his knees in fear. Instead, he stood firm, his gaze unyielding. There was no trace of panic in those green eyes, only curiosity, and perhaps a flicker of anger. Who was he? What made him so different from the rest of his kind? "I don't want trouble," he continued, lowering his arms slowly. "But if you're planning to hurt anyone here, you'll regret it." His words were bold, almost laughable given the circumstances. Did he truly believe he could stop her? Still, there was something compelling about his confidence. It reminded her of stories told long ago, tales of warriors who faced impossible odds without flinching. Stepping forward, she deactivated her cloak entirely, revealing herself fully. The man's expression shifted slightly, surprise flitting across his features before he masked it. "You're not from around here," he stated flatly. "Alien, am I right?" Kalara tilted her head, studying him. "Observant," she replied coolly. "But knowledge won't save you." He smirked, crossing his arms. "Maybe not, but neither will arrogance." His tone held a challenge, one she hadn't expected. Most beings cowered before her, yet here he stood, daring to match wits with someone far superior in strength and technology. It intrigued her. Before she could respond, the ground trembled beneath them. A low rumble echoed through the trees, followed by the unmistakable roar of engines. Reinforcements. Her team had located her position. Panic surged within her, not for herself, but for the human. If they found him here— "Listen," she snapped, stepping closer. "Leave now. Forget you ever saw me." His brow furrowed. "Why?" "There's no time to explain," she hissed, grabbing his arm. The contact startled both of them. His skin was warm, too warm compared to her own cool touch. She released him immediately, but the sensation lingered. We're on the brink of something monumental. Trust me, you can't afford to miss what happens next. Stick around to witness the turning point that will change everything. The man, whose name she later learned was Ethan, didn't flee as she'd ordered. Instead, he followed her deeper into the woods, dodging falling branches and debris as her comrades' ships roared overhead. "You're making a mistake," she hissed, glancing back at him. "They won't hesitate to kill you." "And you will?" he shot back, his pace quickening to keep up with hers. "Somehow, I doubt that." Her jaw tightened. Why did he insist on complicating things? She didn't owe him anything. He was nothing more than a distraction, a loose end to tie up before completing her mission. And yet, she couldn't bring herself to leave him behind. When they finally reached a hidden cave, Kalara turned to face him. "Stay here," she commanded. "If you value your life, do not move until I return." Ethan shook his head, leaning against the rocky wall. "Not happening. You saved me once already. Whatever's going on, I'm involved now." Her frustration boiled over. "Involved? You think this is some grand adventure? My people are preparing to destroy your world. Do you understand what that means?" To her surprise, he nodded. "Yeah, I do. And maybe that's why you need me." For a moment, silence stretched between them. Outside, the sounds of searching grew louder. Kalara clenched her fists, torn between duty and instinct. She had always prided herself on being decisive, on following orders without hesitation. But Ethan's presence unsettled her in ways she couldn't explain. "Fine," she relented finally. "But if you slow me down, I won't hesitate to leave you behind." His grin was infuriatingly smug. "Deal." As night fell, Kalara led Ethan through the dense forest, relying on her enhanced vision to navigate. The darkness seemed alive, filled with shadows that danced menacingly around them. Despite her superior senses, she couldn't shake the feeling of being watched. Every snap of a twig or whisper of wind sent her pulse racing. Was it paranoia, or were her comrades closer than she thought? Ethan, meanwhile, remained eerily calm. He moved with surprising agility, avoiding obstacles with ease. At one point, he paused to examine a cluster of mushrooms glowing faintly in the moonlight. "These are fascinating," he murmured, crouching down for a closer look. "Bioluminescent fungi. Never seen anything like them." Kalara rolled her eyes. "Focus, human. We don't have time for botany lessons." He straightened, brushing dirt off his hands. "Just saying, Earth has wonders worth protecting. Maybe even for someone like you." Her stomach twisted at his words. Protecting Earth? That wasn't part of the plan. Destruction was inevitable, necessary. Or was it? Doubt crept into her mind, feeding off the uncertainty she'd felt since arriving. Could she really go through with it? Could she condemn billions to death simply because her leaders deemed them unworthy? They pressed onward, eventually reaching a clearing where a small lake shimmered under the stars. Kalara knelt by the water's edge, dipping her fingers into its icy depths. Memories flooded back. Visions of her childhood, of playing in similar waters on her homeworld before war stripped it bare. When she looked up, Ethan was watching her intently. "What?" she demanded, defensive. "You seem conflicted," he observed softly. "Like you're carrying the weight of the universe on your shoulders." She scoffed, rising to her feet. "Don't presume to understand me." "But I do," he countered, "because I've been there, faced choices I didn't want to make. Sometimes doing the right thing means breaking rules." His words struck a nerve. For the first time, Clara allowed herself to consider the possibility that maybe, just maybe, her mission wasn't as black and white as she'd believed. Dawn broke over the horizon, painting the sky in hues of orange and pink. Clara and Ethan took shelter in an abandoned cabin, its wooden walls warped with age. Inside, dust coated every surface, and cobwebs hung like curtains in the corners. It was hardly ideal, but it would suffice for now. While Ethan scavenged supplies, Clara paced the room, her thoughts consumed by questions she couldn't answer. What if Ethan was right? What if Earth deserved another chance? Her people viewed humans as savages incapable of change. Yet meeting Ethan challenged that belief. He was intelligent, resourceful, compassionate. Traits her leaders dismissed as weaknesses, but perhaps they were strengths instead. Ethan returned, holding a can of preserved food and a bottle of water. "Found these in the pantry," he announced, setting them on the table. "Not exactly gourmet, but it'll keep us going." She nodded absently, still lost in thought. Sensing her turmoil, he leaned against the doorway, arms crossed. "Talk to me," he urged gently. "Whatever's eating at you, let it out." Clara hesitated. Trust didn't come easily to her, especially not with a human. But something about Ethan's sincerity disarmed her. Slowly, haltingly, she began to speak. About her people, their history, their reasons for targeting Earth. About the pressure to conform, to obey without question. And about the growing conflict within her, pulling her in two directions. By the time she finished, tears glistened in her eyes, an unfamiliar sensation. Ethan listened quietly, his expression thoughtful. When she looked at him, expecting judgment, all she found was understanding. "You're stronger than you think," he said finally. "Strong enough to choose your own path, even if it scares you." His words ignited a spark within her, a flicker of hope she hadn't felt in years. The days that followed blurred together in a haze of tension and revelation. Clara and Ethan traveled cautiously, avoiding detection while piecing together fragments of information. Using stolen data from her comrades' transmissions, Clara uncovered disturbing truths about her people's plans. They weren't merely planning to destroy Earth. They intended to harvest its resources, leaving nothing but a barren wasteland in their wake. Ethan reacted with fury. "That's monstrous," he spat, pacing the cramped confines of their latest hideout. "They're not just ending lives. They're erasing entire ecosystems, everything that makes this planet unique." Clara flinched, guilt gnawing at her insides. She had known the mission was dire, but hearing it described so bluntly forced her to confront the reality of what she'd been complicit in. "I didn't know," she whispered. "I swear, I didn't." He stopped mid-step, turning to face her. "Then help me stop them," he pleaded. "Together, we might stand a chance." Her resolve wavered. Betraying her people was unthinkable, punishable by death. Yet staying silent meant condemning billions to slaughter. How could she live with herself knowing she'd done nothing to prevent such devastation? Night fell, bringing with it a decision she couldn't delay any longer. Sitting cross-legged on the floor, Clara accessed her communicator, hacking into secure channels to gather intel. Each new detail painted a bleaker picture, reinforcing the urgency of their situation. Ethan sat beside her, offering quiet support without pressing her for answers. Finally, after hours of deliberation, she spoke. "If we're going to do this, we'll need allies. People willing to fight for their home." Ethan smiled grimly. "I know just the person to start with." The journey to find Ethan's contact took them to a sprawling underground bunker, hidden beneath a bustling city. Lights flickered dimly, casting eerie shadows along the concrete walls. Voices echoed faintly from deeper within, accompanied by the hum of machinery. Kalara tensed, her instincts screaming danger. This place reeked of rebellion, of defiance against authority. Exactly the kind of environment she'd been trained to avoid. "This is it?" Ethan murmured, leading her through a narrow corridor. "Trust me. I wouldn't bring you here unless I knew we could count on them." Before she could respond, a figure emerged from the shadows. A woman with fiery red hair and piercing gray eyes. She regarded Kalara warily, hand resting on the hilt of a dagger strapped to her thigh. "Who's this?" she asked, nodding toward the alien. "An ally," Ethan replied firmly. "Or she will be if we play our cards right." The woman, introduced as Mara, was skeptical but intrigued. Over the course of several tense hours, Kalara explained her origins, her mission, and her growing doubts. Mara listened intently, occasionally interjecting with probing questions designed to test her sincerity. Eventually, Mara sighed, leaning back in her chair. "All right, say I believe you. What's your plan?" Kalara exchanged a glance with Ethan. "Sabotage," she answered simply. "From within." Mara raised an eyebrow. "Bold. Risky. But if anyone can pull it off." She trailed off, smirking. "Count me in." With their alliance secured, the trio began devising strategies late into the night. Maps were spread across tables, marked with potential targets and escape routes. Weapons were inventoried, supplies rationed. Every detail mattered, every second counted. Failure wasn't an option. Their first operation tested Kalara's resolve in ways she hadn't anticipated. Disguised in stolen uniforms, she and Ethan infiltrated one of her people's supply depots, a sprawling facility brimming with advanced weaponry and harvested materials. The air buzzed with activity as drones patrolled the perimeter, scanning for intruders. Heart pounding, Kalara guided Ethan through the labyrinthine corridors, her mind racing with calculations. Timing was critical. One misstep and they'd be caught. Yet adrenaline coursed through her veins, sharpening her focus. For the first time in years, she felt alive. Reaching the central control room, they encountered minimal resistance thanks to Kalara's intimate knowledge of Varith security protocols. Hacking into the system, she uploaded a virus designed to disable key systems fleet-wide. "This should buy us some time," she muttered, fingers flying over the keyboard. Suddenly, alarms blared. Red lights flashed, bathing the room in an ominous glow. "We've got company," Ethan warned, peering through the window. Sure enough, guards converged on their location, weapons drawn. "Go!" Kalara shouted, shoving Ethan toward the exit. "I'll hold them off." "No way," he retorted, planting his feet. "We stick together." Frustration bubbled inside her, but there was no time to argue. Together, they fought their way out, narrowly escaping capture. Outside, Mara awaited in a stolen transport, engine revving impatiently. As they sped away, Kalara allowed herself a brief moment of relief. Victory was fleeting, but it fueled her determination. They could win this. They had to. Back at the bunker, celebrations were subdued. Success brought temporary reprieve, but the looming threat remained. Kalara stared at the holographic map projected onto the wall, tracing lines with her finger. Each mark represented a potential vulnerability in her people's defenses. Exploiting them required precision, timing, and sacrifice. Ethan joined her, handing her a cup of steaming tea. "You okay?" he asked softly. She nodded, though her eyes betrayed lingering anxiety. "It's strange," she admitted. "For so long, I believed my people were infallible, that their cause was just. Now, I'm not so sure." He placed a reassuring hand on her shoulder. "Change isn't easy, especially when it challenges everything you've ever known." But you're doing the right thing. His faith bolstered her courage. Turning back to the map, she pointed to a heavily fortified installation. This is their command center. If we can disable it, we cripple their operations. Mara whistled low. Ambitious, dangerous, but if anyone can pull it off. She grinned wickedly. Let's do it. Plans solidified rapidly. Roles were assigned, contingencies mapped out. Sleep became a luxury none could afford. Tension mounted with each passing hour, culminating in a final briefing before deployment. Standing amidst her newfound allies, Kalara felt a surge of pride. These humans, flawed though they were, possessed qualities her people lacked: resilience, creativity, compassion. Qualities worth fighting for. The assault on the command center unfolded like a symphony of chaos. Explosions lit the night sky, shaking the ground beneath their feet. Kalara led the charge, her movements precise and calculated. Beside her, Ethan wielded a stolen plasma rifle with surprising skill, covering her flank as they breached the outer defenses. Inside, resistance intensified. Varith soldiers swarmed the halls, forcing them to adapt quickly. Kalara relied on her training, using speed and agility to outmaneuver opponents. Yet for every enemy defeated, another took their place. Fatigue weighed heavily on her limbs, but she refused to falter. Reaching the core chamber, they faced their greatest challenge yet. A towering mech, piloted by one of her former commanders, blocked their path. Its weapons whirred ominously, targeting them with lethal accuracy. Desperation clawed at Kalara's throat. They couldn't fail, not now. Summoning every ounce of strength, she launched herself at the mech, disabling its primary cannon with a well-placed strike. Ethan followed suit, firing relentlessly until the cockpit hatch opened. Leaping inside, Kalara confronted her former mentor, her voice trembling with emotion. It ends here. Their battle was fierce, brutal. Sparks flew as metal clashed, echoing through the chamber. Finally, seizing an opening, Kalara delivered a decisive blow, incapacitating her opponent. Collapsing beside the controls, she initiated the shutdown sequence, sealing their victory. Exhaustion overwhelmed her as the facility powered down. Ethan rushed to her side, helping her to her feet. Through blurry vision, she saw Mara and the others emerge victorious, cheering wildly. Against all odds, they'd succeeded. In the aftermath, Kalara struggled to reconcile her actions with her identity. She had betrayed her people, shattered bonds forged over lifetimes. Yet witnessing humanity's resilience reignited a sense of purpose she'd thought lost forever. Perhaps redemption wasn't beyond reach. Earth began healing slowly but surely. With Varith forces driven back, efforts shifted toward rebuilding. Kalara played a crucial role, sharing knowledge and technology to aid recovery. Though mistrust lingered among some, many embraced her contributions, grateful for her sacrifice. Ethan remained steadfast by her side, offering unwavering support. Their bond deepened, transcending differences to form something extraordinary. Together, they envisioned a future where cooperation replaced conflict, where diversity strengthened unity. One evening, standing atop a hill overlooking the rejuvenated landscape, Kalara turned to Ethan. "Do you think we can truly coexist?" she asked, voicing fears that haunted her dreams. He smiled, squeezing her hand. "We already are, and that's just the beginning." Hope bloomed within her chest, fragile yet resilient. For the first time, she dared to dream of peace. Months passed, marked by progress and perseverance. Kalara immersed herself in humanitarian efforts, working alongside humans to restore balance to Earth's ecosystems. Her expertise proved invaluable, bridging gaps between alien innovation and terrestrial ingenuity. Despite initial skepticism, global leaders warmed to her presence, recognizing her commitment to positive change. Collaborative projects flourished, fostering mutual understanding and respect. Walls of prejudice crumbled, replaced by bridges of cooperation. Yet challenges persisted. Remnants of the Varith fleet lurked in distant sectors, plotting retaliation. Intelligence reports hinted at covert operations aimed at undermining Earth's recovery. Kalara understood the risks intimately, knowing full well the lengths her former comrades would go to reclaim dominance. Late nights often found her poring over encrypted messages, deciphering clues buried within garbled transmissions. Ethan joined her frequently, providing moral support and fresh perspectives. Their partnership evolved into a seamless synergy, blending analytical prowess with creative problem-solving. Together, they devised strategies to preempt threats, leveraging alliances forged during the rebellion. Trust expanded beyond borders, uniting disparate factions under a shared goal, safeguarding Earth's newfound harmony. A sudden ambush shattered the fragile tranquility. Emerging from hyperspace, a rogue squadron targeted major urban centers, unleashing devastation reminiscent of earlier assaults. Panic gripped populations, memories of past horrors resurfacing with terrifying clarity. Kalara sprang into action, coordinating defensive measures while rallying volunteers. Ethan accompanied her, wielding upgraded weaponry crafted from salvaged parts. Their teamwork proved formidable, thwarting attacks with remarkable efficiency. Amidst the turmoil, Kalara confronted a painful truth. Forgiveness wouldn't come easily. Many viewed her as a traitor, regardless of her efforts to protect Earth. Whispers of betrayal echoed in crowded rooms, stoking resentment and distrust. Determined to prove her loyalty, she spearheaded reconstruction initiatives, channeling grief into productivity. Hands blistered from manual labor, muscles ached from prolonged exertion, but physical exhaustion paled compared to emotional strain. Through it all, Ethan remained her anchor, reminding her of victories achieved and battles won. His unwavering belief buoyed her spirits, fueling determination to persevere despite mounting adversity. Gradually, acceptance dawned. Acts of kindness replaced hostility, gestures small yet significant. Children approached Kalara shyly, offering handmade gifts or drawings depicting heroes defending Earth. Elderly survivors shared stories of resilience, acknowledging her role in averting catastrophe. These moments fortified her resolve, reinforcing connections built on trust and gratitude. Collaboration extended beyond immediate needs, exploring possibilities for sustainable futures. Joint ventures tackled climate crises, medical advancements addressed lingering health issues, educational programs promoted cultural exchange. Ethan championed these endeavors enthusiastically, advocating for inclusivity and innovation. His passion inspired others, igniting sparks of creativity that illuminated paths forward. Together, they transformed despair into optimism, proving that unity transcended boundaries. Still, shadows lingered. Threats loomed on distant horizons, reminders of unfinished business. Preparation continued tirelessly, anticipating eventual confrontations. But hope prevailed, rooted in collective strength and shared vision. Years later, standing on a stage before thousands, Kalara reflected on her journey. From reluctant soldier to advocate for peace, her transformation mirrored Earth's rebirth. Applause thundered around her, affirming acceptance earned through sacrifice and dedication. Beside her, Ethan beamed proudly, his presence a constant reminder of love conquering fear. Hand in hand, they symbolized unity, a testament to overcoming differences for greater good. Addressing the crowd, Kalara voiced gratitude, acknowledging contributions large and small. Together, we've proven that change is possible, that compassion triumphs over hatred. Let this serve as inspiration moving forward. Cheers erupted, echoing promises of brighter tomorrows. Behind them, twin suns set, casting golden light across rejuvenated landscapes. Hope soared, boundless and enduring. Subscribe for more captivating stories exploring courage, connection, and the power of choice.